Hi there, this is Mark Anderson from andertoons.com, and I'm going to show you how I shade my cartoons using markers. We're going to jump right in here. I've got a batch of cartoons that I've already inked. They're all about school, by the way. And I'm using Prismacolor Cool Gray markers. I think this one, it's hard to tell, but I think this is a 30%. I usually let the ink dry for a little while, although if I'm in a hurry, the markers or the brush pen that I use dries pretty quickly, so I can usually jump right in and shade right away. But if I have the time, I like to give the ink just a little bit time to set so I can make sure that it doesn't smear. I've got 4 cartoons on a single page of, I don't know, is this 8 by 10 or oh, it's 9 by 12. I believe it's 9 by 12 Borden Riley marker bleed proof paper. And I tend to work really small and I try to be efficient. So I've got 4 cartoons on the one sheet of paper here that I'm shading. And again, about being efficient, I'm using the same marker to do washes on all 4 cartoons at once. So I'll shade one cartoon with the 30%, and then I'll flip the paper around like so, and then I'll continue shading with 30% until I think I've got all the 30% done, and then I'll move on to 40, 50, 60, what have you. I don't do a lot of shading. You can see here, like there's a desk that I'm not shading. You could if there we go. I'm not going to shade all of the grass behind this. I'm not going to shade the sidewalk. I tend to stay pretty light. It's just personal taste. Plus, it's a lot less shading and there's a lot less marker work to do. It's just one of those things that's evolved over the years. I used to shade a lot more and I used to shade a lot heavier and darker, and as time has gone on, I tend to almost never shade the background on my own cartoons. I also work pretty fast, as you can tell. I'm going to shade 4 cartoons here in about 7 minutes from beginning to end. I know a lot of people shade all sorts of different ways, ink washes, and of course, I also have a video where I shade the cartoons on the computer using some custom patterns that I created in Photoshop. But even that takes longer than this, because then I can, undo and go, oh, I'm not sure if that's quite right. And there's a real organic, real feel to working like this that I really like. You're not getting the marker in all the places, and you get variance, and sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter, and it's just there's a real feeling to it that I can't get any other way. So if I can shade this way, I prefer to. I'm using my iPhone. I apologize for the sort of shakiness, and sometimes if the light tends to change, or I've got my iPhone, I've got a special clamp clipped to my the lamp on my drafting table that's taking this, which is pretty good video now that I'm looking at it. It takes a little bit to see the product that you're shading through the iPhone while you're shading it. So this isn't like 100% natural, because I tend to get really close. I have bad eyes. I have terrible vision. So when I'm shading, I'm right on top of it. And maybe it's because I work so small. I don't know. But I tend to like get my nose. I've actually gotten like my nose print on art while I've been shading. And I have to write a little note, remove nose print in Photoshop. But this, I'm actually back a little bit because I need to make room for the camera. So you're not going to see any nose prints today on the art. We're finishing up a lot of these here. I'm just doing some detail work. There's my giant hand. Looks like I'm doing some darker work. I tend to work with, again, Prismacolor Cool Gray markers. And 30% is about the lightest I'll go. I find that that scans pretty light. If I used to go 20% and 10%, but then I would do all of these different percents, and then I would scan them, and the 10, the 20 just wouldn't show up. So over the years, I've gotten it down to between 30 and 60. If I need something really black, I'll do a 70 or an 80, but that's pretty rare. There, I've got my little fix note there. I need to fix the A in that formula on the chalkboard. The back of it's hanging down a little bit. I'll write myself notes like that. I tend not to draw over. Again, I draw really fast too, so little mistakes, I'll write myself a note, and then I will Photoshop out any problems. Doing just a little bit of shading back there on that periodic table that's now gone. And let's see, looking to see if doing a little 30% line work on that sidewalk to make that pop a little bit. Oh, hey, I'm shading the background. Breaking my own. I didn't expect that I would, but there you have it. You can see I've got the caption written in pretty sloppily below. That's just to remind myself of the caption. There's been times I've done a cartoon and inked it and shaded it, and then I didn't write the caption down on the final art, and I thought, well, it's on the sketch, I'll remember it, and I never do. And then I have a cartoon where I'm like, oh, what was that caption? It's driving me crazy. Well, we're finishing up here. There's 4 cartoons, and we're coming up to the end of the video. Hope you liked it. Feel free to see all of my cartoons on andertoons.com. There's thousands and thousands there. And I hope you enjoyed this look at me shading my cartoons with markers. I hope you learned something. I had a lot of fun, and I'll see you next time.